this is my home, this is where I've grown up, and you know, downtown used to be vibrant and full of life and full of action, and it's quiet now. You don't see a lot of activity, lots of houses that are boarded up and closed, lots of businesses that are boarded up and closed, but the rich just keep getting richer.
We always say that we go into the recession earlier than the rest of the province, but the flip side of that is that usually we come out first. That's not happening. When you go to the West End, there's a lot of properties for sale, and there's a lot of industrial property that's for sale, whether you're talking about GM or some of the property that Ford had. There's a lot that's available. In being a border city, you're always conscious of what's happening, across the water. I mean, we're right opposite the city of Detroit, which declared bankruptcy this year. So we know firsthand what it looks like when you have a disintegration of government and you're not able to provide for those basic needs. This income inequality looks like income insecurity at our end. People on the very, margins of society, really struggling to get by, really having a difficult time, putting tremendous resources in trying to stabilize their work, their hours of work, because they're putting together a number of jobs, their housing. So they're all in a situation where they're one incident away from losing all of that, right? One extraordinary expense that they can't meet. One family crisis that means they can't attend work, maybe they're going to lose their job, or they get behind on a rent payment and they're going to be facing an eviction. They're very vulnerable.
The Heinz plant in Leamington is closing after more than 100 years. One worker says people were yelling and throwing chairs after employees were told the ketchup plant would close in the middle of next year. More than 700 full-time jobs will be lost, along with about 500 seasonal jobs. The company has offered severance packages to those workers who stick it out to the end. Leamington is going to lose about $1 million in tax revenue, and tomato growers across southern Ontario will be affected.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a case of, oh my God, our community can't take another blow, especially one as tremendous as this one. I don't know how our community will ever recover from it.
It goes way beyond the 740 union members at Heinz. I say we talk about food security. That is one thing. How do you have a country that doesn't process food? Do you want your food made offshore? Really? Do you? I don't think so. I think people, when they get a box of Kellogg's Corn Flakes or a Heinz tomato juice, see it's made in Canada, processed in Canada, I think people have a certain pride or, oh, that's going to be safe. And I think there's got to be a value to that. And in this area, this is just a drop in the bucket. There are so many factories that have closed in southwestern Ontario.
The Kellogg's factory is next on the list. East London is really going down. There's not the manufacturing jobs. I worry about where that's heading with the high-paying jobs and the filter-down jobs from that. Where are we getting the money that we're spending?
OPSEU and a number of like-minded unions, progressive unions, thought we need to engage in the community. So the Windsor Forum was our 4th forum. It was a great turnout in Windsor, Essex. So I think it got people thinking.
We need to fight for the right to have a real change in the way politics is done and the way the economy is organized, and that we should be the ones who have that decision. We produce the wealth, we provide the services for the people. How is it that we're not given any say?
We need to change the government. To do that, we have to educate our members. We have an election coming up. This is 2014 election year. If the members of all these unions would just simply get out and vote, we will make this city an example for the rest of the country.
Well, we know that kind of income inequality doesn't work. If we could get past that, then we would have an unpleasant social environment, to put it in the gentlest possible terms. We would have people fighting each other. We would have people rioting in the streets over bread. We would have it's a dystopian society that none of us would accept and none of us want to see.
If we were to look at something like a universal drug plan, universal carrying on something further, that universal dental, daycare programs, all of those things, and also start hiring permanent full-time people in these jobs, and you can have good benefits with those jobs. If you don't do that, you can't drive an economy, and the Ontario government is a perfect example of somebody that could, in fact, have more full-time employment.
As citizens, we need to be informed, and we have to look at what are the issues and what can government do. And it's always been my experience that when you bring people together in a common interest and work together, you achieve much more.
So we have to engage, we have to talk about taxes.
We need to lobby our governments to increase minimum wage, certainly, and we need to make that gap. We need to close that gap. We need to make that gap a little bit smaller between the rich and the not so rich.